Hello and welcome to the preview here on the Fulhamish YouTube channel. Elizabeth's away, so you got me today and looking ahead to Fulham versus Crystal Palace. Sunday 4:30, a bit of a bizarre choice from Sky as the Super Sunday pick, but it should be a good game. A London derby and Fulham have a point to prove against a Crystal Palace team that have won twice at Craven Cottage in this calendar year. And of course, Palace at the Cottage is one of our bogey matches. No win against the Eagles at Craven Cottage in 20 years, which is a stat that is pretty hard to believe. We've won at Selhurst Park in that time, but not at the Cottage. And yeah, pretty bleak memories, those two losses. Of course, the 2-0 win for Palace in the league last season was a very comprehensive win. Fulham were atrocious that day and deserved absolutely nothing. And then, of course, the Cup quarter-final in March. Honestly, just thinking about that match makes me pretty upset. It was an awful day. Of course, historic for Palace. They ran from that match and then went on to Wembley, won twice, lifted the FA Cup. It's so hard not to think what might have been if Fulham had managed to make that early superiority in that match count. But there was no doubt that in the end, Palace were worthy winners. Those two quick-fire goals from Eze and then Ismaila Sarr just kind of killed any momentum. And I always think that when you play Oliver Glasner's Crystal Palace, or when you see them against other teams, the first goal feels so crucial. Both of those games, we conceded it and we just never looked like getting back into the game. They struck us on the counter in both times, and then once they're 1-0 up, they're more than happy to soak up the pressure, frustrate you, and then hit you again on the counter. So I think that we know that, again, the first goal in this game is going to be pretty crucial. I'd like to hope that Marco has a bit of a point to prove. They were two painful defeats, particularly the Cup one, and surely Marco's team talk is kind of already done here. If you want to avenge that defeat in March against Palace, well, this is a way to start. Palace come into this, I don't want to say out of form. They're fifth in the Premier League, but it's been a bit of a shaky few weeks for them. They did win 1-0 against Burnley at Turf Moor on Wednesday night, but they weren't brilliant by any stretch of the imagination. And I think most Palace fans that I've seen online seem to think they were quite lucky to get away with it, really. And it was more an indictment of how bad Burnley were rather than anything about how good Crystal Palace were. They lost against Manchester United at the weekend, and they lost to Strasbourg in the Europa Conference League the Thursday before that. And I don't think this is anything that Glasner's particularly doing or any player putting in particularly poor performances, but more just that they're struggling to cope with the intensity of matches, the amount of games that they're having to play because of their European commitments. So this is something that Fulham need to take advantage of. Of course, we're not going to be that fresh ourselves because we played a roller coaster of a game on Tuesday. The 4-5 defeat to Manchester City. I'm still not over it, in all honesty, because it was one of the craziest games of football I've ever seen. But Fulham actually, despite losing, despite conceding 5 goals, I think we'll be fairly confident. I know that sounds mad, but the way that we came back from 5-1 to 5-4, and in all honesty, we should have made it 5-5 with some of the chances we had. Surely the players will actually be going into this. Plus, when you add in the wins against Sunderland and Spurs, with quite a bit of confidence, and I think it is time that Fulham need to put a little bit of a run together. The next 4 matches in the league, arguably 5, are winnable, and we are still a bit too close to the drop for anyone's liking, but certainly my liking. With Leeds getting that win as well, we're just not building up enough of a buffer. We need to go on a run that we haven't done all season. We've not won more than 2 games in a row. It's time for Fulham to put a bit of a run together, and this is probably the best opportunity that we're going to have to do it. I'm not trying to underestimate any of the teams that we're playing. Palace, though, is by far the trickiest game out of all 4 of them, because after that, in the league, it's Burnley away, then it's Forest at home, then it's West Ham away. Teams that are in the bottom 4 of the league. We can put a run together, and hopefully that can start on Sunday against Palace. In terms of lineup, we need to go back to the side that started at Spurs, in my opinion. Look, the back 4 picks itself, yes, some of the players in the back 4 and 5 didn't cover themselves in glory on Tuesday night. But Leno didn't have a great night. Anderson didn't have a great night. But let's be honest, they're the best back five that we have. Tete, hopefully he can come back in on the right. He did come off at half-time against City. Hopefully that's not an injury. Sessegnon on the left. I assume it's way too soon for Anthony Robinson. We need to put Iwobi and Sanderberger together. Drop Lukic after what was a horror show for him against City. And please, Chukwueze on the left. Chukwueze on the left. Do you know what? Whether it's Josh King or Emil Smith-Rowe, I'm actually not too fussed. I think that both are warranting of a start right now, and there's a great, healthy battle between those two for the starting berth. Harry Wilson on the right is looking good, and of course it will be Raul up top, even though it was a good cameo from Jonah Kusi-Asari, and hopefully he is someone that we can use off the bench if Raul is starting to look tired. So that is the lineup I would go for. Let me know in the comments what you think. What are your predictions for this game, and what would be your starting lineup? The preview is brought to you by My Kind of Cruise, the world's first cruise booking app and website. Christmas is around the corner, so is 2026. So if you're thinking in the new year you'd like to go on a cruise getaway, there is no better website or app to search through all of the different cruise options in the world. You don't have to go to each individual cruise operator. You can just go to My Kind of Cruise, select where you want to go, how long you want to go for, what kind of cruise you're interested in, and My Kind of Cruise gives you all of the options simply broken down. They've got unbeatable prices, low deposits, and if you want to keep up to date with all the football, most cruises show all of the matches, including the 3 p.m. ones. My Kind of Cruise is available on the Google Play or Apple App Store, or you can go to mykindofcruise.com. And as an exclusive discount for Fulhamish listeners, use the code Fulhamish and you'll get a discount when you use My Kind of Cruise. It's owned and operated by a Fulham fan, so you'll be supporting one of our own if you use My Kind of Cruise and use that code Fulhamish for that exclusive discount. Right, to get a view from the opposition ahead of Sunday's London derby, I'm joined by Jim Daly from 5 Year Plan. Jim, how you doing?
Not too bad at all, thank you, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. We were talking just before we started recording that I've been enjoying your travels, your European adventures on your Instagram. It must be heady times to support Crystal Palace.
It is. I mean, it is the best time. We've got issues in the squad. We'll come on to that in a minute, blah, 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 blah. But like, yeah, it is the best time. 2025, the year of Crystal Palace. Although I thought that was going to be the case at the FSA Awards on Monday, and it turns out that we didn't win that. So I thought the Palace winning might continue into us. I'm not bitter about it. It's fine. I've moved on. But yeah, having a great time.
And much like Fulham, Fulhamish didn't win either. But that's been the case for our entire history, unlike you guys. How much this game must be quite a weird one for Palace because of what happened earlier in the season, right? You know, the league victory was a massive one for you at the time, and obviously the FA Cup is seared into Fulham's minds. That quarter-final was, you know, one of the lowest days I've had supporting Fulham in modern times. It was such a tough one to take. I guess you guys went on and had even bigger glory days than that quarter-final, but it did feel like a seismic moment for both clubs. I assume that still rings true for Palace fans.
I think that quarter-final win was the moment that a lot of Palace fans thought, oh, hang on, we are serious about this. Because the previous rounds, he'd been okay, very boring 2-0 win at Doncaster. The Millwall game was scrappy, as you'd expect. Stockport game was terrible, 1-0 win. So that was the first game where we really turned up. I thought we were excellent that day. Unfortunately, I didn't make it. You know how like every fan's got a couple of away days they didn't get to that are legendary? For me, there's two. There's Peterborough away in the playoff, in the promotion season in 2012, would have been about this time of the year, 2012. I was actually meeting my then girlfriend, now wife's mum for the first time, so I couldn't get out of that. And we won 2-1, I think, and it was like a classic. Wilf was amazing. And then the other one is the quarter-final at Fulham. Like everyone I know that was there had a great time. Palace were fantastic, and so I was very gutted. I can't remember why. Probably something to do with the kids. So, but it was not that I am blaming them. I mean, I barely see them now because I'm basically away every day. They'll be watching Palace in random parts of Europe. It was we were brilliant that day, and we built on that. And then we went to Wembley against Villa, and we were even better. And that we were super. That's the best performance I've ever seen us put in at Wembley, possibly ever. And then obviously the final was the final. But yeah, I think the quarter final was a moment that a lot of us thought, oh, this Glasner team is pretty serious about winning this cup.
Right, Jim, explain to me, as someone outside of the Palace bubble, why you're in fifth, you're in Europe, you won the FA Cup a few months ago and the Community Shield. Why am I seeing Palace fans all upset at the moment on the timeline? Try and explain this to me as a mere mortal who thinks, how can your football club get any better? Why are you all arguing with each other?
Because we're football fans. It's what football fans do. We could win the Champions League and people would still moan about the fact we haven't got a decent cover at left back. It's just what football fans do. I mean, Palace have sort of backed themselves into a corner a little bit with their recruitment, and Glasner's come out last Sunday. He's come out and had a few sort of like little murmurs before. That's the strongest he's been. I will say, like, it's incredibly hard to recruit in the Premier League, and Palace have done a brilliant job, basically down to Dougie Freedman in the last couple of years. Every signing has basically been a success. 3 of them we've moved on for bigger money. That's the model we've got to subscribe to, and it will be the same with Wharton probably as well. But apparently, when Glasner came in, there was rumours he liked a small squad, and now we have a small squad, and now we're getting injuries, and he doesn't want a small squad. So I do think it's a slight kind of like cat and mouse situation with the ball, but also we're not big spenders. We never have been. Paris likes to do everything on a shoestring, and to be honest, that's one of the reasons we've got where we have, and it's not a criticism at all. We're a well-run club. We don't have FFP issues or any of that. So it's a little bit of sort of swings and roundabouts. But I'm not, just for clarity, not one of those fans that's moaning. I am so happy right now. I'm going to Dublin next week. My brother lives in Dublin. I'm going to the Storehouse for free because one of our listeners works at the Storehouse. We then got this pub by the ground that we're taking over. I'm with my brother. I'm in the home country. It's just going to be amazing. So I'm honestly, at the moment, I'm taking it all in. And, who knows, end of the season, we might lose. We'll probably will lose Glasner, I think, judging by the way he's talking. We'll lose Gahey, might lose Wharton, who knows. But I'm sure you probably feel the same way. I think we're a club of similar sizes, similar successes. When it's going well, you just soak it in. You just soak it up because it could last for 5 years. It could last for 1 year. We could be relegated next season. I honestly, when we were... let's go back 5 years maybe, and people say, where's the progress at Palace when we get into Europe? And I was really worried we'd do a Burnley. Remember when Burnley came up and got into Europe and then immediately went down because their squad wasn't good enough? I was worried that happened to us. And then we win the FA Cup, and I'm still a bit worried about it. And then actually the way we started this season, I actually think this manager is the reason we won't go down and we'll probably do okay in Europe because he gets the best out of any player. He can make Will Hughes into a world-class midfielder. He just manages to raise, and that's not, I love Will Hughes, that he manages to raise everyone's level to their ceiling. But, this could be it. This could be the start of something beautiful, could be the end of something beautiful. So you just got to enjoy the ride. And also, as fans, we can't do anything. I've got checkbooks to pay for players, so you just got to enjoy it.
Do Fulham have a chance? Because the only thing that I feel like is going for us, I mean, we're really scarred by those 2 matches, and particularly, actually, the league match was one of those real eye openers where you were like, "Oh my God, Palace are good," and you ripped us apart. You played the perfect counter-attacking game, and
was that the game where Eze stopped and looked at his watch with? No, Eze stopped, and then Joachim Andersen was. Oh, great image.
Yeah, and Munoz ripped Calvin Bassey a new one, and I think you scored from a corner in the first half, and then obviously you basically repeated the trick in the Cup. What I've seen online from Palace fans, though, is that, okay, you got the win on Wednesday night against Burnley. I saw a little bit of the match whilst I was actually watching the Sky Sports multi-view. Some Palace fans seem to say, though, that you did win, but it was much more Burnley being bad, and that the problems of Palace looking knackered are still kind of there. So does that give Fulham a little bit of a chance, just the relentless schedule?
It probably does, actually, yeah. And that schedule is going to continue until I think we've got 2 games a week till mid-January. So we're not in a great situation. Ismail Assar's injured, and he's probably then not going to come back before AFCON. So he's gone, and he's a big, big part of how we play, especially away from home on the counter. Yeremy Pino is our big sort of summer signing from Villarreal. He's actually, he works very hard. He's had a couple of real big moments, but he's obviously not Ebbs. But the fans love him. Otherwise, on the other side, it's probably Eddie Nketiah filling in for Sarr, who's a very different player, and I like him, but he's having his struggles. So you're seeing these puzzle pieces come in that aren't quite as strong as the first ones. And we have looked tired, not just at Burnley, but we looked tired in the second half at Strasbourg. We looked tired in the second half against Man United. We battered Man United in the first half, and they're not a good team at the moment. And we let them back into it purely because we are running on empty. So, to be honest, it's probably a good time to play us in that they are fatigued and we do have, injuries and key players missing. But having said that, I think, and again, we've spoken before about Roy Hodgson. I love Roy Hodgson. I think he's I think he's fantastic individual and representation of our club, and he was great for us. He obviously came on the podcast, so I sort of have to say that, but I do believe that. But I think under Roy would have lost that game at Burnley. But there's something about Glasner where he's able to just keep the level so consistent. I mean, the back five is excellent. So I could see us eking a 1-0. I could see it being a 3-2 or something. I mean, the way you guys came back against City in midweek, like that was almost Palace-y in a bit of like that your heads didn't drop. This Palace team, their heads never drop. Whether they go through a bad run of form or a bad 20 minutes, they just crack on. They're like robots in a way. And I thought that Fulham response was really, really encouraging. Obviously, at 5-1 down, you're never expecting to get anything, but you probably could have got something from that game. And the Josh King one at the end that goes across the line. So I think Palace will be slightly fearful of that. And I think there'll be, our defence has been very good recently, but it hasn't quite, still only letting 11 league goals all season, but it hasn't in the last few games because of that tiredness. There's been mistakes slipping in. So I think it's a good time to play us, but if we scored earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if we eked out a 1-0, but I don't think it'd be pretty. I don't think we'll come and turn you over like we did start this year in the league and the cup. I think it'd be more like a sort of dogged Burnley performance, and you obviously offer more going forward than Burnley. I'm particularly worried about sort of Harry Wilson. I think he could cause us some problems. But this Palace team, they can eke out results at the moment.
Yeah. Talk to me about Mateta, because I think he is a striker. We've had our striker problems this season, and I think Fulham fans would look at someone like Mateta and be like, "Oh, wouldn't you just love to have Mateta?" He feels a little bit, for us, it feels like he's got a little bit of the Mitrovics about him. He's got big personality. Obviously, he's a big presence up front. But again, like one thing I feel like I've seen a few Palace fans complaining about, like the finishing. Is it starting to become a bit of a concern? Because, he's still chipping away with regular goals, but he also does seem to be partial to the odd sitter. Obviously the one that comes to mind is that Bournemouth chance, where, which would have been his fourth goal of the game. It's kind of harsh to judge him that he didn't score it. But yeah, is that an issue? I'm obviously hoping that some of that wayward finishing continues on Sunday.
It's becoming a trend, definitely a trend. As you say, he still chips in with goals. And again, he has that kind of no head down mentality. Like he could miss 3 open goals and I'd still be happy with him taking a penalty. In fact, against United at the weekend, scored a penalty, retaken because it hit his standing for another new rule that no one knew about. And he steps up and puts it away again. Like the guy doesn't lack for confidence at all. His black spot seems to be one-on-ones. It seems to be almost when he has too much time to think about it. Instinctive finishes he's very good at, and he scored so many good goals from the edge of the box, left foot, right foot, where you think almost there's nothing on. It's almost when he has too much time to think about it. You'd actually rather have Nketiah, I think, in that moment, sort of one-on-one. So, yeah, if you can fashion a situation where he only has one-on-ones, then I think he'd probably be fine. But I wouldn't be surprised if he lashes in one from the edge of the box that's bouncing around that is almost a half chance. And to be honest, he'll only play 60 minutes. There's no way he'll play longer than that because of so it will be Nketiah coming on, or maybe it'll be Justin Devaney coming on and Nketiah going up front. And again, this is our problem. Our players that come on do not offer. No one in our squad offers what Mateta does. Like you say, he's a big character. He's a proper target man. He holds it up really well, brings people into play. That area of his game he's had to work on. He was terrible for the first 2 years for us, but he clearly really worked on that, and Glasner brought a lot out of him. But yeah, the one-on-one finish, his XG, he's got the highest XG in the Premier League, isn't it, or something? I think we do as a team as well, and a lot of that is down to him missing one-on-ones. But if I'm looking at it with my positive hat on, which I try to do all the time at the moment, it means we're getting chances. If you keep getting, we all know, if you keep getting chances in games, inevitably some of them will go in. Our problem before, under previous managers, Roy, as we said, and Patrick Vieira towards the end, was we had games where had no shots on goal. Vieira in his last 4 games had no shots on goal. That is a bigger problem than your striker missing one-on-ones. So I don't mind at the moment as long as they keep doing that, because he'll poke a 1 or 2 in.
Final question, Jim. Who would you rather? Peak Maxence Lacroix or peak Joachim Andersen?
Oh, it's such a funny one, that, because when we let Joachim go, everyone was raging because him and Gay absolutely brilliant together. And then we got Lacroix, and he was, how do I describe this? He was rocky maybe for the first 6-7 weeks. And we were like, oh no, what have we done? Then weirdly, his upturn in form seemed to kind of tally with Joachim having a little bit of a drop off as well. And then there was reports coming out of the club that they were like, well, he was approaching his 30s, etc., and they didn't want to give him a long contract. And you were like, okay, it kind of made sense. Pete Joachim was superb for us. Just gorgeous player, gorgeous man, gorgeous long balls. You know, he was and him and Gahey were fantastic at the back. So I don't really want to answer the question. Actually, I'll tell you what, I will abstain from it because I don't think we've seen peak Lacroix yet.
Okay.
I think Lacroix is still building up to that, and he's been absolutely brilliant. Last few games, actually, he's had a couple of moments where maybe he hasn't been perfect, but his consistency is so good. He's very quick and strong, and so he seems to be able to deal with whoever's up front. And actually, that back three are so good at just making sure that everyone has their one-on-one jobs, and then whoever's covering, they work very well together. Chris Richards, I think, actually, probably doesn't get as much. In fact, he was brilliant in the cup game at you guys. Doesn't quite get as many plaudits as maybe he should, but. I'll tell you what, I'll take an amalgamation. I'll take Max Sontz's physique, Joachim's long balls, and Joachim's hair.
Okay, fine. I thought you might add Chris Richards' hair because he's got.
Maybe I should do. Yeah.
Jim, finally, score prediction. What are you going to stick your neck out on?
I think it'll be tight. I think we'll both score. I think it could be a 1-1 actually. I'm hoping it's a 2-1 Palace, but I actually wouldn't be surprised or disappointed with a 1-1.
All right, Jim. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you for watching the preview today, and we'll see what happens on Sunday. You whites.